this new weapon system. That's the biggest thing, I think. You grab it, you realize it's a lot heavier, but these soldiers, once they saw the energy on target it was able to produce, they kind of say, okay, I just need to hit the gym a little bit more and work on my biceps. It's worth it. End quote. It's like my old squad leader used to always tell me, Cappy, get swole or die. I think the decision by the big army to send these new weapon systems to the 101st Airborne of Band of Brothers fame is an interesting choice. The new service pistol was also sent to them first to test out. The 101st is considered to be one of the better trained and more elite units within the conventional U.S. Army infantry. They're a great sample to stress test how regular Joes might beat up the weapon in extensive use. The 101st is light infantry, so they're focused on helicopter-borne air assaults and lightly armored MRAPs that don't have Bradleys or Abrams tanks assigned to them. But more importantly than all that, I want to know if any of the 101st Fronts found a way to break this thing yet. To get a wider sample size, the Army chose to send the second batch of these XM7 rifles to North Carolina's National Guard 30th Armored Brigade Combat Team that does have the heavier vehicles like the M1 Abrams. This gives Army leadership a better idea of how M1 Abrams tankers and mechanized infantry will work the new system, because they have to jump out of tight vehicles more often. So National Guard soldier Staff Sergeant Grayson said, quote, "It's a great step having the ability to penetrate level 4 plates and defeat some of our adversaries' armor when necessary," end quote. Next generation capabilities do not come cheap, though. Gregory Knowles on X dug through unclassified U.S. Army procurement sheets on the Department of Defense 2024 budget estimates, and he found that the average price of the special purpose, high-powered, spicy version of the ammo costs about $15.70 per shot. The Army might not pay lower enlisted soldiers that rate, but at least you have the opportunity to fire up thousands of dollars worth of high-tech ammo for free. That's enough to motivate me in the morning. Another budget document that we dug up shows similar costs of around $12 per pop. Meanwhile, the general purpose XM7 ammo costs about $2.73 per shot. For context, the Legacy 5.56 service ammo only costs about 47 cents per round. Part of the reason for the high price currently, though, is likely because of the economies of scale that haven't caught up yet, and I would expect those numbers to bring those costs down considerably, and it's also one indication that the Army is continuing to take steps towards dropping the X from the XM7 name and fully adopting it potentially over years more guarantees. And that's something different with these systems, the silencing stuff behind it. It has two types of ammo, one for defeating body armor, and one regular, less powerful ammo. One question I would like to answer is if soldiers are testing the weapon with the spicy $15 hybrid round that's powerful, or if they're training on the cheaper type of ammo, will be a major adjustment when firing the higher powered round. I just noticed that this XM250 gunner here is loaded with hybrid steel-based ammo, so it appears that they're training in this instance on the high-powered ammo. The high-powered round has a pressure of 80,000 psi when fired. It's packed full of gunpowder and given a steel base that can handle the extra pressure. 80k psi is the kind of pressure you would experience if you were 3 miles deep in the ocean. This sends the round out at higher speeds and through concrete and steel. The conventional rounds on the M4 have about 50,000 psi, but the downside of the spicy round is that it increases recoil and degrades the barrel life quicker, although SIG claims the barrel life is still better than the M4 at over 10,000 rounds a day. If you're like me and that science doctor stuff hurts your brain, the key takeaway here is that the rifle packs a serious punch, thanks to new advances in ammo and barrel manufacturing technology. One thing all soldiers have in common is their opinion on the new optic. Staff Sergeant Steele told the Army Times, quote, "It's going to allow us to engage the enemy earlier than we would have. If we see the enemy far out, we can get better odds on the optic," end quote. So the new XM157 optic uses a built-in infrared laser to automatically calculate bullet drop with a ballistic computer. It also has 8x magnification up to the older wax as well, which is twice the amount of magnification compared to old ACOG system rifle. This optic lets you take advantage of that extra range from the 6 laser. Having a suppressor for every single regular infantry housing, basically no one except the high-speed special forces types had access to suppressors, so it's wild to see that change. Suppressors are especially important now to reducing restrictions visually and audibly to less likely to show up on a film drone in your enemy's hands. But not everyone is convinced of that. The new platform offered the caliber trade too much of that close combat performance for long-range punch. Could be less than ideal for this. The rifle just only entered widespread operation, and that is something that has stood out to me as interesting. I've yet to hear anyone say they want their old guns force back. This might be because the interviews have been through Army-approved outlets. The government has tight controls over information and access to these new weapons. It's not like this is a fighter jet or tank. You can't just go to the war thunder forums for classified leads on. I was one of the first soldiers, for instance, to be issued the new M320 grenade launcher that was replacing the old legacy M203. I personally didn't like that it was underslung, it was tough to shoot with a drone. That comment by me. I'm not saying that that's what's happening here. I'm just saying it's one of the many factors that we should consider. I think it might be why Commander Volker of the 101st Airborne specifically assured the press that he would, quote, provide in if there was something that they saw that they didn't pay attention to. It's also important to note that troops will be writing down on anonymous pieces of paper what their thoughts are, positive and negative, and they're going to submit that to leadership because that's how these tests are always done in the past. If feedback is good, then we'll likely see the Army order around 111,000 of the XM7 rifle by the early 2030s. So what are soldiers saying when they're able to be anonymous? On the U.S. Army subreddit, I was able to find one poster who appears to be a relatively high-ranking officer on there, and he shared their unvarnished truth of what it was like to live, eat, sleep, train, and bang with the M7 rifle for 3 days straight. Here are the highlights from the post that I picked up. Quote, over the course of 3 days, a friend of mine and I lived with the M7 Fear. We spent time at various ranges doing tactical stuff, getting in and out of Humvees while practicing the rifle. It's still heavy, but after a day or so, you stop noticing it. You don't have to shoot from a standing position or a viewing CQB. How off balance the rifle is. He goes on to say that the two sample rifles they had
Buti, nawawala.
Combat, he said, quote, both of us found ourselves moving slower with the M7s. It was painfully slow. Harder with the M7s. It wasn't just a delayed response and engagement. Initially, I talked up to 8. I'm over 50 years old. And a bit heavier than ideal. But the reality struck when I saw it wasn't this slow with the M4. In fact, I was quicker than some of the other officers. It really was more of an enhanced flash hider than a true suppressor. That's one officer's anonymous feedback on allegedly having used the M7 rifle for 3 days. The U.S. Army believes they might be outnumbered in a future fight in the Pacific, even if they fight alongside their allies. That's why the whole point is to achieve troops are outnumbered. Here, the XM7 is supposed to give them a significant edge of firepower. But at the same time, Overwatch is also officer buzzword speak for I'm doing my job this year. But the U.S. Army's switch to a new platform also represents a risk that some of us and Army veterans say could end up leaving soldiers worse off in a hot war. With the war in Ukraine still raging, analysts, enthusiasts, and veterans pleading with the Army brass is ignoring the lessons and just hard-charging forward with a theory of what future war will look like that isn't born out of evidence. But I think it's important for people to remember that this XM7 rifle is not being fielded in a vacuum. If it's acquired, it will work in concert with the XM250 machine gun, which greatly reduces weight considerably for your machine gunner and allows them to put down rounds on target at a much greater accuracy and range compared to the M249 Saw. It has an internal recoil mitigation system. For any criticisms that we hear leveled against the XM7 rifle, there are very few criticisms against the XM50. We need to consider that this new small arms program is a system. How does it impact the performance of the squad as a whole, not just a single rifle? Logistics is an interesting factor to consider the implications of as well. No other nation produces the ammo for their military, and the United States will be the only source of the ammo for the foreseeable future. Currently, there are 17 defense logistics distribution centers in the United States and 7 major depots outside the continental United States. Not to mention hundreds of smaller supply or transport nodes in the worldwide network. Each of these major depots stores millions of 5.56 and 7.62 ammo, but so far, none of that 6.8 rounds. Here's a quote from the Army document. It says the SP ball cartridge utilizes projectiles with an exposed black tip surrounded by copper jacket. This ammo is intended to use against a broad spectrum of hard targets. The SP ammo is a combat-only war reserve item. Notice how they keep the exact material composition of the ammo up to projectile guessing as to will go through. It obviously won't go through tank armor, but some of the Russian BMPs, Chinese amphibious Type 05 infantry fighting vehicles, they might not be safe at close range. Whether the seismic shift to the XM7 and XM250 will fit the needs of the future soldier or not is really the $330 million question. The Army has a history of eventually getting things right and setting trends worldwide when it comes to the primary weapon system of your average infantryman, so there is reason to believe that they'll set the trend for the next 60 years with this one. So long as man's United States of Man continues to be a part of human nature, so too will our march forward with new primary weapons like the XM7 Spear. May we be reminded that the art of war, though ever-changing, demands the same courage to master as it did when our ancestors first took up arms in the
Lebanese officials say at least 9 people were killed. Lebanese officials say at least 9 people were killed and nearly 2,800 injured when pagers used by the Hezbollah militant group exploded simultaneously across the country. Hezbollah blamed Israel for the blast and said the attack would not go unpunished. There was no immediate comment from the Israeli military.
Chaotic scenes like this played out hundreds of times throughout Lebanon and Syria. Behind the chaos, pagers used by the militia group Hezbollah to communicate with its operatives and supporters. The untold number of the devices exploded lasting around an hour. Ambulance was seen in the streets, moving the dead and the wounded to hospitals throughout Lebanon. The country's health minister has confirmed thousands were injured in the unprecedented attack. The Ministry of Health has recorded more than 2,800 injuries, 200 of which were in critical condition and required either surgical intervention or entry into the intensive care units. It is still unclear what caused the devices to explode. However, a Hezbollah commander described the attack as the, quote, biggest security breach since the recent hostilities with Israel began. In a statement read on Lebanese television, Hezbollah, which is considered a terrorist group by the EU and others, placed the blame squarely on Israel and vowed to punish the perpetrators of the attack. As the number of injured continues to rise, Lebanese health authorities are calling for fresh blood donations as hospitals rush to treat the victims of today's attack.
Matthew Levitt is an expert on counterterrorism and intelligence at the Washington Institute for Near East Policy. He joins me now from Washington, D.C. Welcome to DW, Matthew. Have you ever heard of anything like this and at this scale?
Nothing like this. It reminds of Western penetrations of Iran's centrifuge system, where widgets that were procured abroad and were messed with caused those centrifuges to spin too fast from the heat. But nothing like this, especially in a denied space, a place that's difficult for operatives from the West and from Israel to operate. This is a huge intelligence penetration of Hezbollah.
Is there any reason, according to you, to believe that Israel is not behind this incident?
It is highly likely that Israel is behind this incident. It has the fingerprints of an Israeli type of attack. It was targeted specifically at Hezbollah operatives. We know back in February of this year, Hezbollah started instructing its operatives to leave phones at home and start using pagers to go more low-tech in an effort to try and evade Israeli signals intelligence that Hezbollah feared was behind the targeted assassinations of several of its commanders. And then they started spreading out these pagers. It's something that Hezbollah has done. We know that at least one of them was near the Iranian ambassador. There are reports that there were explosions even in Syria and possibly among Shia militias in Iraq.
Now, the cause of the explosions itself is not clear yet. There are theories about batteries exploding or explosives being planted in the pagers before. What sounds most plausible to you?
Based on what's being reported here in the United States, right now it seems quite clear that small amounts of explosives, grams, were inserted into these pagers during the procurement of them while they were in the supply chain. This was not some type of cyber issue. This was an effort to identify the supply chain, interrupt the supply chain, take the devices.
India's military is aging, and the plan to modernize its defense is left
Okay.
with us traveling in the world.
If you are writing a military film, engineer, scary, down and over, elite, dangerous, and mercenary Calvin, you would recommend it. If you are writing a military film, engineer, scary, sounding, over, elite, dangerous, and very strong mercenary Calvin, you would recommend no military international. It's intimidating, it's evocative, and quite frankly, it sounds pretty cool. But for all the aspiring authors out there, it's got to be the bearer of first needs, particularly Ready International. It's already taken. The private military company, or PMC, that goes by that name, has an arsenal that no fictional mercenary outfit to compete. Ready International is an American organization, 12 years old at time of writing, based out of Lakewood, Florida. What they have on offer is nothing short of an entire air force for wrecked. Recruiting from amongst America's best and brightest former military aviators, Draken provides an elite force of top-level pilots, industry experts, and advanced and versatile flight instructors and planes. Lots and lots of planes. Flying with the brings American F-16s, Russian MiGs, French Mirages, and more.
In a single strike. All the details of the events have now emerged. The second phase of the operation has started. Israeli drones and warplanes have entered the region. If you're ready, let's quickly examine it. its operations in the Gaza Strip. A ceasefire deal is nowhere in sight. Neither Israel nor Hamas are willing to make a compromise. Hamas wants a complete ceasefire in Gaza. Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin wants all hostages to be released. But he also wants Israel to control the Philadelphia corridor. That's the border crossing between Egypt and
Sino
Gaza.
kaya?
Egypt says it will not give complete access to Philadelphia. And now, Israel has accused Egypt of siding with Hamas. This has kicked off the corridors of power in Cairo. Egypt is preparing for the war to escalate. And Cairo is Egypt hosted its first ever international aviation exhibition in the city of El Alamein, which is about 260 kilometers from the capital, Cairo. The 3-day show had over 100 countries participating. Fighter jets performed the low-level aerobatics. Almost 100 aircraft were seen on the tarmac as part of the static display. The purpose of the exhibition was simple. Egypt wants new fighter jets. It wants to replace its aging fleet of F-16 jets. The single-engine American-made aircraft have protected Egypt's skies since 2010. But with the environment in West Asia becoming increasingly hostile, Egypt wants more modern jets for its air force. Currently, the country's most advanced fighter jet is the French-made Rafale. The Egyptian Air Force